Joining us on Big Talk here on Global Television, where we begin to take a look at what is happening in the country and majorly in the world of politics. First, let's begin by telling you that Independent National Electoral Commission, ahead of the election, September 21st election in Edo, said the distribution of permanent voters card to new applicants across Edo's Telugu government areas has already commenced earlier today. The commission, while urging the applicant to come for their cards, noted that it will not release them to third parties. INEC National Commissioner and the Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, in a statement said that the distribution of the ward level had been concluded with over 125,928 PVCs collected within 5 days. He said the figure represents 68.3% of over 184,434 new cards issued during the recent continuous voter registration exercise, marking the highest collection rate recorded by INEC since the introduction of CVR ahead of the off-cycle election in Edo State. There have been continuous engagement and plan and readiness by both the Commission, the political parties ahead of September 21st election. Meanwhile, we will be looking at the judgment, the post-judgment, the aftermath of the judgment as well, that has continued to trail. Reactions have continued to trail in many states, majorly in the southeastern part of the country, where we also had an off-cycle election in Imo. The judgment that was given by the Apex Court confirming His Excellency Hope Uzodinma as the governor as well continue to make rounds in the state, and of course also the fact that the major political parties there were still contending in the cases. But however, the Apex Court have spoken down the way forward for the people of Imo State under the leadership of Hope Uzodinma. Earlier today, the team of Global Television were able to have the audience of the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Strategy, who spoke extensively, and of course very brief, about the fact that now that the court issues, litigations are over, governance still persist in Imo State under Governor Hope Uzodinma. Take a listen at what the Honorable Commissioner earlier said today.
I think His Excellency for victory, more people everywhere, on radio, television, everywhere. So there is an eruption of joy and satisfaction that justice has been done, because His Excellency made history, and is not out of place when somebody makes history like this. You have people who will want to put a spina on the way, because he won for the first time in the history of Imo State. He won in 27 local governments, and the thing has gone from tribunal to appeal to Supreme Court, and all these levels of the judicial affirmed that victory. So when the Supreme Court finally gave that verdict, Imo people were overjoyed, because they were satisfied that the mandate they freely gave to His Excellency to re-elect him as governor for a second tenure has been upheld, has been confirmed by the Supreme Court. So I think that is the reaction. The people are happy that they did not labor in vain, that the world acknowledged their efforts. All the legal process in the country has acknowledged their effort, and so everything is well. Our people are happy. That's the reaction. On the side of the government is determined to ensure that the local government election is free, fair, and credible, and has consequently charged the ISEC to ensure that this is done. And I believe that ISEC is prepared to make sure that that is done. So generally, I think that Imo people should expect a credible election, should expect a fair election and a free election that will usher in the local government at the level of the local government. Statement he issued immediately after the Supreme Court judgment. He said he will dedicate himself to the service of Imo people. So that is what they should expect. He has already said it. He is going to dedicate himself to the service of Imo people. That means he will double his efforts. He will continue to work tirelessly as he has been doing, but he will dedicate himself, he will double the efforts to provide infrastructure and dividends for the people. Only yesterday, His Excellency signed an MOU with a foreign firm to ensure that the transmission, generation, and distribution of electricity through the Rashi Energy Company of Imo State is accomplished before the end of this year, so that all the 27 local governments in Imo will have uninterrupted power supply. So you can see that that is part of rededicating himself to the service of Imo. He's already doing that, and is offering quality service, and Imo people should expect that that will continue. Again, the best way to answer that question is just to refer you to the fact that a very well world-renowned pastor, Pastor Ebuka, Pastor Ebukobi, he was here, he just left here 2 or 3 days ago. He had a 3-day crusade, 3 or 4-day crusade here in Imo. And from what he said to the governor when he came, over 3 million people attended. And the incident was hitch-free. You know what it means for a state to host 3 million people gathered together. 3 million people. And at the end of the day, they were moving, some will come from there to their hotel and go back and so on. At the end of the day, there was no security breach, no hitch, nothing. So that says a lot. Even the pastor said it also, that those who are doubting the level of security or the integrity of security architecture in Imo State, that this is a clear evidence that Imo is safe, there is security, and the security agencies in Imo are working. So Imo is safe, but like I always say, there is no state, no society in the world, from America to Britain to everywhere, can be absolutely safe. I think it's only heaven that can be absolutely, I think human society, there must be incidents here and there. So, because somebody can say tomorrow maybe there's one robbery here, or one kidnap here, or they say, but he said Imo is safe. No, those are isolated cases, but generally speaking, Imo is quite safe. Well, the election is local government election, so it's a state election, all right. But you know that the state has an independent, Imo State Independent Electoral Commission, ISEC, that are charged with the responsibility of, conducting that election. So in as much as it's a state election, that body is responsible for the conduct of that election. So the only role the state government has to play there is to maybe provide them with the necessary funds. They will roll out the rules of
and strategy reacting over the issues coming after the judgment of the Apex Court confirming Hope Uzodimma as the governor of Imo State. Now that the judgment is over and all the litigations are over, the people expect that the governor will continue to do better. And now we just confirmed that President Bola Tinubu says he will be presenting a whistleblowing bill to the National Assembly as his administrations continue to reinvigorate the fight against corruption and financial fraud in the country. This is coming from the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, who disclosed that the whistleblowing policy in Abuja. According to him, the president administration is determined to rally good-spirited members of the Nigerian public to join in the fight against corruption and the financial malpractice to the authorities. Tonight, we will be beaming our lights, of course, on the fact that much is being done in some states, while other states seems not to really live up to expectation. At the moment where everyone seems to be concentrating on the federal government, we continue to hold the state accountable about the locations, about how much has been invested to them. Just yesterday, the Anambra State confirmed 33 years of statehood where they have been in practice and many leadership, government upon government. So people have criticized Governor Soludo even at the recent action of some political issues from ABGA. And then what is happening in Anambra State is a question. What has Soludo done differently from other governors? What has been the yardstick of his performance and all of these issues on the areas of health, on the areas of infrastructure? He promised the people of Anambra that he will be doing better. And this is the former central bank governor. Many people were saying they expected a whole lot from the former governor of CBN and now the governor of Anambra State. I'll be joined by public affairs analysts and, of course, an indigene of that state who will be giving us a proper analysis on the state of things 33 years after. What has been done? Why is the difference? And what is this government currently doing to tackle many issues coming in from that state? Do stay with us on the program, and once we return from this break, we'll be taking a look at that issue. Do stay with us.
Busy road, the increasing challenge of keeping track of health matters can be extremely demanding. Follow the latest health tips and trends on Health Guide on Global Television on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Health Guide on Global Television. Put your health first.
For an insightful idea that takes the center stage and the conversation that gets beyond the headlines, to explore the lasting impact of political decisions, Big Talk got you covered. From policy debates to geopolitical insights, from thought-provoking discussions to actionable insight.
What is the real responsibility of government?
Big Talk delves deep into the heart of the matter. Join us weekdays on Global Televisions from 6:30 p.m. for a reverting journey into the heart of politics, where we dissect issues shaping our society.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from from the scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
It's time for sports' biggest moments on Global Television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
With every government and introduction of new policies, businesses of all kinds and sizes seize the opportunity to evolve and redefine themselves. Business Point on Global Television is where we follow the money and put the facts and figures right in front of you. Watch Business Point every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. as Kikelamo Okeri tracks all the latest developments across critical sectors. Business Point, this is business.
Get ready for it. Inside Today. brings you issues relating to family, peer pressure, drugs, substance abuse, societal and
Many thanks everyone for staying with us on Big Talk. A lot of developments are concerned in many states that are marking the anniversary. Of course, the program also tried to seek how we can be able to address some of the governance issues from the state. Tonight, as I earlier stated, we'll be looking at 33 years of Anambra and also looking at the fact that the current state is under the performance and the leadership of Governor Soludo. How far has he been able to deliver on the promises for the people of Anambra State? Tonight I'm being joined by Charles, of course, who is the public affairs analyst, Ojukwu Charles. Thanks so much for joining from the United Kingdom on the program and sparing some of your time with us. Let's very quickly get the discussion started. 33 years after, what is your assessment? We understand that, I mean, you had a governor like former Governor Peter Obi from your state, so we can be able to see a whole lot of individuals and proud sons you've actually had as governors of the state. But in general, 33 years after, the people of Anambra seeing the development strides enough, owing to the fact that a lot of internal, I mean, the state also have one of the best IGR, also for the fact that in terms of rating the state, in terms of unemployment, they are still, I mean, the statistics is quite low, high. So people will say things probably have worked well in Anambra. But what is the true situation of things?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you, please.
All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you, viewers. Anambra at 33, I think is not only Anambra State celebrating 33 years anniversary. Other states like Abia State and Delta State are celebrating their own. But we have to conceptualize our discussion based as a fact. I would say, first of all, we have to congratulations to the states. Congratulations to the nation for you up till now. But if you want to picture it in terms of where are we at 33, the question is, are we where we are supposed to be? No. But are we making effort and progress? Yes, I can see that.
All right, thanks so much. I mean, much was expected from Governor Soludo, owing to the fact that this happens to be the man who has been in the CBN, has been in the private sector. You understand well in the issues of economy. There were recent tweets or comments that he's trying to make more borrowing to the state, but he has refuted that he does not believe in borrowing as well. But there's some infrastructure, there are some issues that are still on in Anambra. We have seen the resident doctors threatening strike, if they have not even embarked on that strike. We've seen those issues coming up. What is the true situation of how he's able to manage and consolidate in building a sustainable infrastructure in the state? Before we now delve into the issues of health.
I would up Mr. Governor's speech in building a livable, prosperous Anambra State, dubbed African Dubai Taiwan. You know, that's an ideology and the concept he introduced into the minds of Anambra, African Dubai Taiwan. I've not been to Taiwan, but I've been to Dubai. So if I just oppose the experiences in Dubai to what is obtainable in Anambra State, I don't think we've gotten to that African Dubai Taiwan promise that he's giving us. That's on one angle. Then on the aspect of the loan you talked about, I will commend him for being a true economist that he is. He came in at the onset of his administration. He got an approval of 100 billion naira loan from the House of Assembly. He never effected that loan. He never took any loan. There was a report by one of the newspapers, I won't call the name, alluding Anambra State as being one of the states that are going to get, billions of loan. He refuted that as well. And from my own personal researches, I don't think he's borrowed any money to run the state. and the state has been, running to the best of his effectiveness without borrowing money. So that's a kudos on him. Then on the aspect of strike you talked about, I think the strike has been called off. But the question is, that strike cost lives of people, especially one of your colleagues in the media who died because he wasn't able to access medical care because doctors are on strike. Now, the question is not a resident doctor, so it's an NMA strike. NMA is the state body that unites all the medical doctors. And whenever NMA goes on strike, it's very bloody because what it means is that, including the resident doctors, the private medical practitioners, and everybody that calls himself a medical doctor who is an NMA member, down tools. What I mean the down tools? If they're supposed to be around their hospital premises in case of emergency, because of the strike, they can just travel far because strike is existing. So these are the issues. So I don't think a governor should allow NMA who threatens strike in the first place as warning shot to effect that strike. Whenever they issue that warning strike or warning shot of going on strike, an effective government should bring them together and look at the issues. And what are the issues for this strike? A doctor was kidnapped while going to attend to an emergency. So how can you be going to attend to an emergency and somebody kidnapped you? And your colleagues has been asking government to intervene to release you, and you're still in captivity from 15th of August till Saturday when the guy was released. So what does that mean? That if I'm a doctor and I'm called midnight to come and see a woman that is bleeding out of ectopic pregnancy, I will be scared because I don't know if the road I'm going to apply from my house to the hospital is safe. I may be kidnapped. So these are the issues we are talking about here.
What was his manifesto like? Probably I might not be able to lay hands on them because part of the problem we normally have is that we expect a whole lot from leaders, and most often times we do not care to know what are the set out goals for a particular government. Just like every time we expect a whole lot of development, we expect infrastructure, we expect all of those things. Can you give us an understanding about his purpose, statements in respect to health, strengthening health, and consolidating on what is already on ground? Of course, we understand that probably part of the system is that he inherited probably a system that was bad. So we expect that he has an idea on what to do and his motive. Can you give us an understanding about his plan of health towards Anambra State?
On the background, I have never, talked about Mr. Governor's administration beyond the ambit of his manifesto. Now, there is what we call a social contract, which the outgoing governor, Obiano, instituted. Right. We call it 50 years development social contract plan from the Anambra. And it will be, to make it very beautiful, Governor Soludo was the chairman. He was the one that oversee all that happened to produce that document, and it was gazetted into law as a development document for developing Anambra in the next 50 years. That's the background and baseline. Secondly, most of his manifesto was called from that document, which is good, and which is what we advocate, that successive governments should look at that document, see how to call their manifestos from that, so that let us have a social contract on how do we, politics aside, synergize our differences in terms of different political inclinations and focus on one developmental policy to achieve a sustainable development. I was listening to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala the other day talking about how Peru, despite their political differences and bickerings and multiple presidents, have been able to excel in their economy because they have a solid social contract. So Anambra has a solid social contract as far as I'm concerned. And Governor Soludo is the first executioner of that social contract. Now, if you talk about the issue of health, which falls under my primary constituency as a medical doctor, I was also part of those that helped to call the policy and craft the policy for health development in the state. The question is, how are the things in the policy being implemented? I will give a few highlights. On the issue of primary health care, because primary health care is like the bedrock of every nation, every state in developing their health system. Now, before you even talk about health, let's talk about how much was budgeted for health in the 2024 budget. The budget for health was about 4.8% in 2024. Now, let's talk about what is reasonable for you to budget to health so that you have a semblance of African Dubai, Taiwan, which is his mantra and his purpose. Now, if you go to Dubai and the Taiwan budget for health, I don't think it's 4.8%. I don't have the figures. Secondly, if we go to what we call Abuja Health Declaration Act, which says in Abuja in 2001 that every state in the continent, in the African context, and the sub-nations, if they want to develop their health system, they should give 15% to their health so that we can be able to achieve a kind of health system that can stand the test of time and stand the competition at the global stage. Now, that's the baseline. The question is 4.8% will not help the health system. Primary health centers are not giving the optimum services. Part of the policy and the social contract that was signed, which he was the chairman, talked about telemedicine. I can authoritatively tell you that telemedicine is not being practiced there. The doctors working there are not didn't get the gadgets they would use to practice telemedicine there. So you see how universal health coverage, which is one of the litmus tests to assess health impact, is not being covered. On the issue of antenatal, I understand he's providing free antenatal. That's a normal thing. I won't give him extra kudos because other governors did that. In terms of remunerations is a question here because yes, he is paying something reasonable to those in primary health center. It's not just the doctors. What about the nurses? What about other health workers there? Now, if you just oppose it to the tertiary health centers, like the only signature hospital that we use to assess the complexity of the state healthcare, it is the state teaching hospital. The state teaching hospital, I've wrote about it in the past. I will summarize it as a smelling place. Why? Because if you go there, it's nothing to write home about. You cannot even be able to swallow your saliva entering the wards. And I wrote and I said, this place needs to be maintained. And I was glad, and I'll give him that kudos for, I don't know if he read it or not, but a few weeks after that write-up, he responded. He awarded contract to renovate the place and even build a trauma center. That's also good. But the question is, as you're talking about infrastructural development, there's what we call human infrastructure. No human being working in that facility who is not being paid 100% of their salary will be able to give their efficient and effective services. So in that case, the doctors and the nurses, they are not collecting 100% of their nationally agreed salary structure, COMMES and CONHES. So they are still collecting less than 100% of their salary. So that is not what we would say is obtainable in African Dubai, Taiwan. In African Dubai, Taiwan, they collect very good amount of salary so that they can be able to give the right services expected in African Dubai, Taiwan setting. Now, when we talk about the other things on the issue of health insurance, the question is, yes, we have the Anambra State Health Insurance Agency. We call it the ASHA. The question is, how much coverage they have? There are some medications that they don't cover. And these medications are very expensive medications and very relevant vital medications used every day. Some antibiotics that are expensive are not covered. Some chemotherapy medications are not covered. So if we want to give the right services to health, we should budget right to health. 4.8% will not achieve African Dubai, Taiwan standard health system development in Anambra State.
Well, a lot of that comparison might also be the fact that many are also looking forward to how he actualize some of those things. But give us an understanding about his level of concentration in terms of where he feels is the priorities. Because yes, lots of the people have so much of importance, and welfareism of the workers, health workers, are also very necessary. Can you say there is a sector he has done so well? Because I'm going to come to you in the area of security. There have also been a recent action where people said you took the wedding of one of your daughter to the Federal Capital Territory. What happened to Anambra? You are the Chief Security Officer of Anambra State. What happened? So I'm going to come to that. But in terms of a generality of where his topmost priority is, give us an understanding about that.
I think I will call it the selling points of the governor. The selling point of the governor, I will hinge it on his 2024 mantra, the 2024 budget, which says budget of changing gears on infrastructure, health, and education. I've talked about health, so the gear didn't change there. If there was any gear change, it was backwards.
So, we
so
are
let's talk about road
in the aspect of our health.
Yeah, let's talk about road infrastructure, which is the selling point. I will give it kudos to him. Yes, if I see where he's doing well, I'll commend him. Now, there are conflicting figures. Some people say 288 kilometers of road. Some people say 344 kilometers of road. But whatever it is a significant amount of kilometers of roads that has been done. So he's done well in road infrastructure. Everybody says that, and I say that too. And I've been to Anambra multiple times this year, and I can see that as well. Fine. But we have gone beyond using roads as a litmus test to define a governor that is working. We have gone beyond using road as a testament of being effective in governance. We should be talking about other things that are very micro in the terms of complexity of human being and human sustainability. Roads are normal, basic things. Now, let's talk about other things that he's done well as well. There's what we call one youth, two skill that he developed and crafted. I was watching and seeing the progress of that through the Office of the Special Advisor on Youth Empowerment. It's a form of a system where they train Anambra youths that are unemployed or underemployed or wants to learn more skill into two skills. And a lot of people are benefiting from that. I must attest to that. So that is one of his selling points. He has taken employment whenever he has employed teachers, he's employed health workers. It's a normal thing, but the question is, if you're employing teachers, how much are you paying teachers? What is the minimum wage you're talking about? Because I've not heard any conversation from the Anambra standpoint regarding where they stand on the minimum wage, if they can pay or if they cannot pay. So the other things is that his selling points are the Anambra Fun City. People have questioned the Fun City. What is the impact? But if you listen to the governor, he will tell you how beautiful the Fun City is. But the one I cannot understand is building a 5-star hotel in Anambra State or 7-star, I don't know. But he wants to build a hotel so that some special dignitaries, national and international, can be able to lodge in Anambra State when they come for events. I don't think building a 5-star hotel is something important to Anambra State at this moment, where people do not collect 100% of their salary, where people are scared to go out beyond 6 p.m., and a state where people do not collect minimum wage as of the last amended minimum wage. So these are some of his selling points, which whenever you hear people talk about roads, and the one you two skill thing, these are what I have seen as his selling points and his area of dexterity in handling governance.
I mean, away from that infrastructure, there were a lot of concern owing to the fact that, issues of security has also put a whole lot of pressure, tension in the southeast part of this country. And looking at Anambra, a commercial city as well, people feel that it ought to be more secured. Recently, he held the wedding of his daughter here in the Federal Capital Territory, and the social media set on fire on why and how. Do you feel that the security architecture he has not properly managed, or probably is also seeking help from, he must start to seek help from the more federal hands, also looking at the issues of state security, his commitment on how they can start, protecting, within their local level. What is your assessment of security performance by the governor?
Security is a very sensitive conversation and topic. But the point is, if I go to Anambra, I'm no longer free the way I used to be free. If I go to Anambra, I host lots of people, up to 50s and hundreds of them. Now, if I go to Anambra, I hide. And most of them feel that I come into the state, I don't want to see them again. No, the question is I cannot move freely. I cannot disclose my location. I cannot talk about, if I'm in town or not. This is not just me. This is the same thing with most people. So that is a normal, simple, practical way to define security. If I go to Anambra, I cannot move out at night. People in Anambra State do not leave their house beyond 6 p.m. If you fix a function, if anybody gets to 5 p.m., they'll start going home. Now, what are the questions there? The questions there that the state is not safe. If you've ever seen the governor's convoy, you think the governor is a chief of army staff that is going on combat battalion. It's well secured, so he can move around anytime. But most people are not secured like him, so they cannot move around. So that is a simple, practical way to define security in the state.
Were you
There
able to
is
confirm the
no
incidents of one of his commissioner, on his way to Abuja?
Now
There was a
that
tragic
is
news
reported. That was reported
that,
all over the news, but I didn't see his chief press secretary. I didn't
okay,
see his
they
chief
haven't
press
made a statement
secretary
about that.
talk about that. Sorry?
Okay, the government have not made a statement about that.
The government didn't issue any statement to my knowledge that the commissioner was kidnapped and the youth president of Onitsha community was killed in that process. And I feel that is very insensitive because they are attending a function that is very personal and domestic to the family of the governor. Now, the other conversation you talked about taking the wedding to Abuja, for me, I wouldn't be much interested in where the wedding happens because in Igbo land, for example, traditional marriage are done in the girl's father's house, which was done in Isofia. So the white wedding is at the prerogative of the man, which is the in-law of the governor. So if he chooses to do it in Abuja, it's not anybody's business to do the wedding in Abuja. So I don't belong to the school of thought that you must do your wedding in Anambra State because your father is the governor. But where I belong to is the fact that your commissioner was kidnapped with his wife, the youth president of Onitsha town was killed in the process, and I did not see any atom of message from the governor's social media handle or from his chief press secretary to at least give the family of the lost one sense of belonging. If it's done in private, I wouldn't know. But the point is, the governor is a public personality. We are the masses that we are looking at him.
All right, let me now take you to the politics. I understand many political parties, has springed up in Anambra. We can talk of ABGA, you can talk of APC, you can talk of Labour Party, you can talk of People's Democratic Party as well. So it looks that we have heavyweight politicians, heavyweight political gladiators in this state. I understand issues of ABGA sentiment. Currently, there is a faction where they have also alleged that the governor has sponsored the closing down of one of the quarters, one of the secretariat right there in the state, on the grounds that he is not recognizing that leadership. So some persons are also concerned about how he's trying to manage the internal politics in ABGA. Probably you may not be a member of that party, but we are concerned because internal democracy is important ahead of the next election. We understand that the governor is recontesting for that office, and probably all of these issues are up again. What's your concern about the recent action to lock up Labour Party Secretariat, Peter Obi campaign office, and that of ABGA's faction office?
My take on that, I think I've released a public notice on that, is this. The place where those offices are we call it is a private residential estate, Udoka housing estate. Now, it's been a norm that most political parties have their offices there. And I've been around that area whenever they have election beehive events. You see streets of residential areas crowded with people from different political parties, and they all sequestered along one street. For me, I have, given a disapproval thought about it, that this shouldn't be the right place for you to hold political events. But, they say that abnormality has become normal. Now, on the wake of political differences and internal wranglings in Anambra State, the governor now decided to effect what is normal, to close down their offices, because the offices were situated in a residential place, which is abnormal. So the governor, I don't think the governor has done anything wrong in closing their offices, because if we look at it without being biased, those offices are not in the right location. But the question is, why now? So probably because they've had internal differences, they have political differences, he is now trying to use his authority to effect what has been abnormally going on as a normal to back to what it should be. Now, in terms of the crisis in ABGA, I've not really been interested in the crisis in ABGA because I'm not a member of any political party.
But that's
Now,
the ruling
but
party, and you also look the fact that many people are subscribing to that party. I understand that we have Peter Obi of Labour Party, which also was a strong force in 2023 election. Does it look that there's a contention between Labour Party and APGA? Give us an understanding about that.
Of course, there will always be contention between Labour Party and APGA because Peter Obi is a strong factor in Labour Party, and Peter Obi is also in a strong opposition.
He didn't do probably. I mean, it's not even a factor in Anambra's politics ahead of time. He said that during the 2023 election.
Peter Obi has his own style of politics. Whenever he comes out and shows himself and his full capacity, all those conversations will fizzle out. He doesn't like to play on the street all the time, but whenever he comes out, all those little talks fizzle out. Because only one day he used to campaign for all the people that won the elections, and they won the election. So on aspect of Peter Obi being a factor or not, we wouldn't know. We will test that again when the election draws near. But he's a very big factor, and that's why he's always been attacked by the governor's media warriors. Now, on the issue of their internal wrangling in APGA, I've studied that. I've went to do a little bit of understanding of what is going on here. Now, if you date back to around 2019, there were congresses. They were supposed to hold in Owerri. But along the line, Governor Obiano then and Dr. Ikoye, who was the then chairman, I think they fell out with Chief Edozie Njoku. Now, when they fell out, Edozie Njoku continued his congress, which will precede the convention, while the governor came back to Awka to do his own congress, and both of them had parallel convention that produced parallel party chairman.
But the convention had to be organized by the chairman, not the governor. I understand probably may be the leader of the party in the state and all of that.
No, I wouldn't know who recognized and who don't recognize, because the governor sided Dr. Victor Oye, and they did their own. Edozie Njoku with his own team did their own. And both of them are laying claim to INEC, observing it. So I will come to the problem with these things, which involve institutions. Now,
we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. Just quickly, establish that fact. Let us understand better, because it looks that two factions are rising in Anambra, and it also looks the fact that people are saying the governor has to address the issue other than taking side.
If you look at the current body language of Governor Soludo, he said it's an internal party misunderstanding and family affair. If you listen to Edozie Njoku, he said it's a family affair. So it's a lack of internal democracy and cohesion that they've not been able to come under one front. And the institutions here, which is INEC and the judiciary, are not helping matters, because they've been given conflicting releases and lack of clarity in their judgment and in their release. So these are the issues. So the point is, they should make things a bit more clearer for people that are in APGA, who are very confused now on where to follow, because every political contest in chairmanship and councillor, they have two people laying hold to that contest, because they have two parallel executives.
All right. A very big thank you to Charles Kenna-Ojukwu, of course, public affairs analyst, giving us an understanding of the issues in Anambra State. Thanks so much for joining us from United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, my brother.
That's where we, of course, wrap it up on the conversation tonight. Big talk. Looking forward again tomorrow, where we'll take all the issues around the country, much in politics, and what's the concern and what are the political gladiators doing currently. We'll also look at the issue of Edo, because September is just around the corner. Many people are anticipating what happens to People's Democratic Party, All Progressive Congress, the Labour Party, and I mean all the political parties that are preparing towards an election. The tension is still high, but we are trying to listen to what the candidates are saying. We've had the ANC candidate who was earlier on the program giving us an understanding about that. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at having a feedback from the APC candidate, what he's doing and what he intends to do and consolidate in Edo State. Of course, if we could not have him, we'll have someone who will speak on that behalf on the program, Big Talk, tomorrow. Do well to tune in tomorrow, where we'll take a look at that issues and concern and other political issues. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining us tonight on Big Talk. You can always follow these conversations on our social media platform, at Global TV NG. And of course, always keep a time and a date with us here on Global TV, 7 p.m. to 8, where we'll have issues of politics. My name is Edika Michael, and it was a pleasure to have you join us tonight. See you again tomorrow.